Hi, in this video we're going to talking about how to refine your origin agent after recreating it. So let's first open our example file. The scene, the OA test means origin agent test, OAT, and OAT1. And you can see that this is the origin agent we created in the last video, and we didn't do anything on this, just the initial status of this. If we just delete the origin agent and recreate that again for reviewing that the process of creating the origin agent. So just to keep your setup in the setup folder and just making sure your first appearance, the first appeared joint is the deformation system, and we clicked my army, the created origin agent. So in this video we're going to introduce how to refine it. You can see that if we create a placement node, let's just scale this up, and instance this origin agent to the agent, for example, we make and distance. You can see that this is our agent. The agent is originate from the origin agent. So the origin agent can determine what is the appearance and the look of each one of the bone. And also this kind of the bone will join the dynamic simulation in later time. So it is very important for optimize that. Oh, okay, let's do that. Let's just optimize that and make them fit the shape of the geometry of the agent. Let's first hide this setup, Control H, and you can see that this the geometries can be selected, and it's not very good for editing this shape. So let's just create a layer and put all of the geometry into that layer. Create empty layer and add selected objects and make that template. So this time you cannot select the geometry, but we can reference the shape for adjusting each one of the boxes of this origin agent. So let's do that one by one. This is a little bit tedious, but that is very important. So you can see that we can only scale, translate, and rotate each one of the bone shape, but we cannot edit the component of that. If we click the F8, we can edit the point, but this is useless. So we can only scale, rotate, and translate each one of the box. So let's do them one by one. This leg. It's just okay, and the root bone. At this time you can see that there are a lot of the blue balls here, and this is actually the dynamic joint. We're going to introduce them later in the specific video, but here we can just hide them here by my army. The origin agent, there's a hide and unhide the bone shape. You can see that we can hide and unhide some of the component of the OA. So let's just hide the physical joint. Okay, and let's just continue. Please make sure the bone is not collide for a non-adjacent joint. For example, the chest bone is not adjacent of this upper arm, so please do not make them collide at the initial time. This is will be good for later the dynamic simulation, just like this. But then nearby and the adjacent bone can be penetrate. For example, the chest and the stomach can be collide, and the chest and the shoulder can be collide. That's okay. But please do not collide the chest with the upper arm. if you cannot avoid the collide, just ignore that. We have another method can avoid that in the dynamic simulation. Here, this is upper arm, and the lower arm. So this is a relatively tedious thumbnail, thumb, and the finger. You can make the shape the more even, because the dynamic simulation is similar to the real geometry. So relatively bigger than the real geometry. Maybe cool. Let's do this way. Almost done. So they're relatively bigger than the real thumb. Into the neck. The head. You can see that in the latest version of Miami, the end joints, we already hide them for you because this is useless. And in the previous version, it caused many problems. So we, in the latest version, we hide them by default. The end joint, you can see that there's no in any of the bone shape on the last end joint. So this time is better. If you place your agents, you can see that the shape is much better than before. Let's just continue for the lower body. And here we are going to introduce the method for saving your the status. For example, at any time you can just click the Miami and the origin agent and save the current status by save origin agent setup. And you can just name it as you wish. For example, test. Save. And if you just edit some of the joint, at this time you can load them back. Load the test. You can see that the head and the upper arm of the two sides has been returned back to the shape we already defined it. Let's just continue for lower leg. They're almost done. And the foot. You can optimize the foot and rotate it like this and then make it align the ground. Just like this. Shrink this a little bit. Okay, at this time everything is fine, and you can just save your work by save that again. Save current origin agent, the test. And anytime if you recreated the whole things, for example, you just delete the origin agent and unhide the setup and create a brand new the origin agent. And you can just load your work by this load origin agent setup. The test. You can see that everything is fine. Cool. And for this current setup, we already built the one perfect for you, and you can load it from here. The Sync OA, the man, the MRig OA. You can see that this is what we built before for you, and this is a perfect setup, and this is very good for the dynamic simulation. The final thing we're going to introduce is after you created this origin agent and place your agent and test out everything, you can just delete your original setup, because at this time this is useless. So you can just delete it for saving a lot of your memory and the hard disk drive, because at this time this is useless, because every agent will be created from the origin agent. So this is how important of the origin agent. Thank you for watching. See you next time.